Hello and welcome to the Amazon Show with me, Chris Stafford, catching up again with our friend Marci Kornegay, who's on the Pacific Crest Trail, 1,100 miles in Marci or thereabouts in Lake Tahoe. You've covered a few miles in the High Sierras since we last caught up with you. How are you feeling?
Hey, Chris, good to see you, or not even see you again. Of course, we don't get to see each other, unfortunately, but it's good to talk to you this morning. It has been, I was doing a quick math this morning. It's been 525 miles since we last talked. We were in Tehachapi. Now we're in South Lake Tahoe and covering just over about 1,100 miles. And I feel pretty darn good considering my feet. They feel like I'm walking on like wooden pegs, and they just get chiseled away every time I step on another rock or another root or have to climb up another like granite pass or something like that. But besides the feet, my body feels pretty darn strong. I'm happy about it.
You must be super fit now then, and those quads as strong as iron. And I'm concerned because, I'm a little bit older than you, and I've got a lot of different joint problems, that catch up with this. And with what you've been doing, I'd imagine that is not a concern, but you're remaining sound in equine terms. You're sound and you're strong and you're getting fitter by the day. But how are the joints holding up? I mean, how is the body? I mean, does it squeak at you from time to time?
I like that in equine terms. People have called me. I think my whole family has called me. Yeah, Marci, you're a sturdy girl. I've grown up as a sturdy girl my whole life. So I'm doing pretty good. The joints are good. They're not squeaking at me yet. I'm finding wood to knock on. It's pretty incredible. I was actually expecting to experience more pain and more soreness. Besides trying to crawl out of my tent in the mornings after a long, hard day the day before, it takes me a little bit longer to get upright, but a few steps and I feel ready to go. I spend a lot of time stretching. Flexibility is super important. Keep the muscles long. I carry trekking poles, which helps a little bit of the joint compression, especially going downhill, and it helps hoist me up going uphill. But I use those trekking poles also to keep my balance whenever I do stretch. And I can keep my pack on, do some leg stretches, things like that. And then I also use it to roll out my legs and push down against my muscles and try to get some of that lactic acid out, especially in the late afternoons. But otherwise, I feel pretty good.
And those high Sierras, though, that you were heading into last time we spoke, very different terrain, some cold nights. You were telling me that you got down to freezing overnight. Give us a picture of what that looked like, those last 500 or so miles.
Yeah. So, it's the weather, first of all, is got to be respected, especially in the High Sierra. I feel like I am a self-proclaimed weather meteorologist nerd. It's probably my second or third calling. But being a golf coach, I'd always pay attention to, okay, which way is the wind blowing, the skies, how are the clouds forming and things like that. And, being up in such high elevation of the High Sierra, you'll see clouds starting to form and they'll get stuck up on one side of the mountain pass and you'll see another set of clouds come and join them. And those are the things that you look at and you think, oh, these guys are like forming and they're going to fight and it's going to be a nasty storm. And so we got to see some of that early on. We really only had two to three bad weather days. We missed about a half a foot of snow by a day of hiking. If we'd been just a day faster, we would have gotten caught in a big snowstorm up on actually Mount Whitney, which is not on the PCT, but we did hike Mount Whitney, and we could talk about that a little bit later. But and then we had two big weather days with rain. And other than that, we have been so fortunate. It has been just bluebird skies and gorgeous. Some of the night times have gotten down pretty chilly, especially if we were in the higher elevation. And, we didn't have to do anything to over prepare for that, carrying all of the warm weather gear and stuff on our backs anyway. So, yeah, it just, you chatter your teeth a little bit longer. I think you probably burn more calories at night when you're that cold, you're trying to stay warm, but it was fine. At the time, it felt miserable because you're losing a little bit of sleep, but you bundle up and wait for the next morning so you can get back on trail and get going again.
So you did lose sleep. You weren't able to sleep when it's really cold.
I can't. No, I struggle with that. If I'm cold, I'm wide awake. And at that point, probably in hindsight, it's probably just as well for me to pack up my stuff and start hiking at night. But I didn't do that. I kept hoping for the best. I was like, there's going to be this warm little bit of air that's going to go into my tent and keep me warm, but it never does.
All right. Well, let's talk about the elevation gain then, because they're not called the High Sierra for nothing. And I think it was a bit of a roller coaster, wasn't it, in terms of altitude?
Yeah, it was. Well, since we last talked, I spent about 525 miles into Tehachapi. We gained over 98,910 feet of elevation. And that's a lot of just going up for 2,000 to 3,000 miles or 2,000 to 3,000 feet and then coming right back down, another 1,000 feet and then having to climb right back up and back down. So it was just a lot of up and downs, but that's 99,000 feet in elevation gain over 500 miles. But the High Sierra portion, that spans almost 400 miles and that's got a total elevation gain of like 58,000 feet. So including there, we went over some really, really high mountain passes. The highest pass that's on the PCT is Forester Pass, and that crosses just over 13,000 feet. And then behind that, there was a handful, maybe another 7 more high level passes that are right around 12,000 feet in elevation. So you get up, rarely you will camp up there. The winds are way too strong. The threat of weather coming in quickly is a little high. So try to get back down. So at every day you're climbing at least 1 or 2 passes and that's a lot of elevation.
So how is it affecting you in terms of your oxygen intake when you get that high? I kind of knew that it affects me a little bit. I struggle a lot with breathing anyway, just trying to catch my breath. And I'm breathing really hard whenever I'm working hard, but to go over these and anytime I'd get above, say 10,000 feet or so, I really, really feel it in my body and I feel, really sloth-like. So everything slows down. It's a little bit harder to get all the miles in that you were expecting for the day because once you get over 10,000 feet, which is quite often, it might happen 5 or 6 times each day, you're over 10,000 feet. And so everything just completely slows down for me. And it's, it's like The Walking Dead, but yeah, I'm fortunate. It doesn't make me feel sick. It doesn't make me have intestinal issues or anything like that. So I'm pretty fortunate. I just got to pay attention to making sure that I get up and down and keep breathing. Well, talking about high mountains, that one of the highest peaks, of course, in the lower 48 is Mount Whitney. And you had to sidestep to do that. That's not on the PCT, as you said. And I've been tracking you, obviously, every day. And I saw you go off to do that. Now, is that just part of the ritual of hiking the PCT that you have to just take a time to turn right and do that? Yeah, definitely. It takes about 13 miles. Well, it's a total of a 16-mile day. And so, yeah, you go off trail, you hike Whitney. With that, most people hiking Mount Whitney have to register for a permit. So there's a really big permitting system. But for the PCT hikers, we're able to do that without a permit, an extra permit. Our PCT permits allow us to go up. And so when you're that close to the highest mountain in the contiguous U.S., you've got to go and at least attempt that. And that's exactly what I set out to do. I was like, well, it's pretty high. I do struggle with breathing. This was very early on. This is our first mountain in the High Sierra to go and get up and over. And so I didn't know. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if I could do it or not, if my body was going to allow me to do it or how long it was going to take me, if daylight was going to come and get me, all these different factors. But the people that I've been hiking with, they were like, no, unless you were passed out, puking, or just cannot move another leg, you're going to get up that thing. And so that was just great support from the people I've been hiking with, got me up, and we were able to celebrate. We
One of the girls brought up a small little bottle of wine. So we had a little bit of a wine shooter. We had hot tea. We had hot cocoa. We had a snack that we had each brought in, like a special snack to celebrate. Some people brought in candy bars, things like that. I brought in an iced honey bun. I felt like that was a great way to celebrate. And then we went back down. And so it was a great celebration, great moment, highlight definitely of the Sierra.
And what was the climb actually like then, and the descent? Was it anything like you'd expected or you've done before? The condition of the trails are such in good shape. I mean, they really do a great job maintaining the trails, keeping it safe as possible for the general public who are able to get permits to go and day hike it. I think they allow 100 permits per day. So it's not high traffic, but there is definitely traffic. You see people, you pass people. You encourage people to keep going, because it is a spectacular sight. But yeah, I guess I expected it to be a little bit more challenging in terms of rock scrambles and things like that. But it really was a nice trail full of switchbacks where you go back and forth and you gradually climb up, which is greatly appreciated. Up at the top, I thought that there would probably be more icy or snow conditions, snow fields. But I guess being so late in the season, not being a really high snow year, we got very, very lucky that it was a lot more easy to traverse than years past. We did go through some of the snow fields, but with the trekking poles and just being a little bit careful with our step, we were able to step in all the right spots and not feel any unease at all. And how about the wildlife? What did you see new and different? Less rattlesnakes, more bears? No rattlesnakes, and a lot of deer, and in the High Sierra, marmots, I think, are the state animal, and they are the cutest looking things. But they will steal your food in a heartbeat. They will rip up your tent, and they take no prisoners. Also the pika. They're like these little koala bear looking rats, if you can picture these two things together, and they are adorable. They seem pretty harmless. They pop up now and again for pictures, and then tons of ground squirrels, chipmunks, which we got warnings and notices were all are out that these little ground squirrels are carrying the plague. So I don't really know. It just said the plague and watch out for ground squirrels and chipmunks. So we stopped slowing down for those little guys and just kept walking just in case. We didn't want any squirrel attacks. But yeah, I think as we move further north, the squirrels will get bigger and look a little bit more like we're used to seeing, those big gray squirrels. And the bear... I have not seen a bear yet. I feel like I'm the only person hiking this entire trail that has not seen a bear yet. And I'm like, well, and I think back on the AT, when I hiked the AT, I saw the back end of one bear, and there were bear notices everywhere. And the High Sierra is known for their bear, and everybody sees them. But I haven't seen any. We carry a bear can around, but we have gotten notifications and warnings from the National Park Service and also the Pacific Crest Trail Association that we've got to continue carrying bear cans through the next 60 miles, through this area called the Desolation Wilderness. And apparently it's gorgeous with tons of lakes, beautiful scenery, not as severe elevation changes as what we've been through in the High Sierra, but very similar views. And apparently this is a very, very well-populated bear area. It's like a bear reserve, I guess. So this is going to be the best chance to see the bears, and also the best chance for our food to get stolen or for us to feel a little under attack, maybe. But with the black bears, you get yourself big, you make a lot of noise, intimidate them, you fight back. Well, I don't know. I'd say all this now, and then when I confront a bear and it comes walking to me and he's like, hey, give me your food, I don't know what I'll do. So we'll see. We'll see. So these, I was going to ask you if they were black or some brown bears too, but they're all black, are they, up there?
These are all black bears, yeah.
Okay.
So apparently the friendly variety.
Well, we'll find out the next time we talk to you then, just how friendly those bears were.
I can only hope we've got a great story to tell.
So you're currently restocking at South Lake Tahoe. What's that like? Everybody hears about Lake Tahoe and how gorgeous it is. What does it look like from your standpoint?
It has been nonstop doing chores. As soon as we got into town, we were famished. So we ate a huge, huge dinner and just hung out, socialized with some other hikers just to relax. And then yesterday spent the entire day resupplying. And the reason we did that is not just the resupply for the next, 100 miles or 5 or 6 days or so, but, we actually resupplied for the next 600 miles, which is going to get us through rest of California and through the Northern California desert. And felt like at this point, looking at time, we're spending a lot of time in town going in and out or getting hitches or waiting for rides. And then you have to go and you wait in line. And there may be other hikers or day hikers there that might be doing laundry or taking showers and things like that in these towns. So want to make sure that we're minimizing all of that. So we're going to send boxes to trailside post offices so that we can go in, pick up the food, and then hit the trail and not spend as much time in these towns. And I think that's going to help us tremendously move through the Northern California desert and hit these next 600 miles in record time. Shooting for, I don't even know what today is, but shooting for like an August 14th changeover, jumping into Oregon by like August 14th or 16th.
That was what I was going to ask you. Yeah, when you were thinking that you might actually cross the state line.
Yeah, which would be amazing because they a lot of people that have hiked the trail in the past refer to the Northern California desert, if you're hiking northbound, as the California Blues. Because you go back and you think, okay, well, I've been through desert before. I've been through 700 miles of desert. I've been through another, 400 miles of high Sierra wilderness, backcountry. And then I'm still in California and still have a really long way to go. So yeah, I think it's going to be just put the hammer down and crank out these miles, move through pretty quickly.
And of course, by then you'll be well over halfway to the finish line.
Right. Yeah. At 2,650 miles.
Yeah. So that's going to be like psychological, I would imagine, once you get out of California, because it's gone on forever and ever, as you said, and you're into Oregon there and you're past the halfway mark. That probably will give you a bit of a boost, won't it, to think that now the terrain is going to be different, but a little bit easier for you to do more mileage in Oregon, you said.
Yeah, I think so. And you're talking about the emotional or psychological halfway point. I feel like South Lake Tahoe or the Tahoe area is that mark for me. I mean, I've been thinking about coming and passing through here for so many miles for over 2 months now. And so I feel like, okay, finally got here and now we can move on and whatever else. It feels like the other side, I guess, as long as you can get to the other side of Tahoe. And that sort of feels like that emotional marker for me, because I know that looking at the maps and looking ahead, that actual halfway marker is going to be in the middle of a burned area that actually where fires came in last year. So it's not going to be real epic scenery. It's not going to be a great epic day. But I feel like, having a good 0 day in Tahoe is a good way to celebrate sort of an emotional halfway point. So feeling close enough to it, Chris.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Well, today's July the 21st, a Thursday, as we record. Last time we spoke, Marci, you talked about when your next celebration point will be. So is that it, when you actually get out of California?
Yeah. I think when we were talking about last time, I think getting through the Sierra, getting to Tahoe, that's going to be a celebration point. And then crossing over into Oregon, which is right outside of Ashland, Oregon, where we'll cross over into Oregon. We'll get, within about an hour's distance to Portland. I think that will be another celebration point where we'll get off trail and I'll be able to, take a good 0 day maybe in Portland. And then push on through all the way to Canada. But yeah, at this point, let's get through California. Let's push through each of the states. So we've got about another 3 more celebration points.
3 more celebration points. All right. Well, talking about celebration points, and you've mentioned your hiking buddies there. I know that you spend the day probably hiking alone because you're all doing it at a different pace, but you've made some really long-term friends there that you've caught up with that are on the same journey as you, and you may catch up with them at the end of the day at camp when you camp overnight. Talk a little bit about them. Tell us who have become your closest companions now for the last few months.
It's been such a cool social experiment out here. I mean, you meet so many different types of people, backgrounds of people, ages, different stories that come out. But I've been fortunate enough to meet these other 2 women that I've been hiking with, and they're both in their late 20s. They both are successful at their jobs back in the real world, and they've had a goal to be able to hike the PCT for a long time, and I don't know. We meshed really, really well when we all met up under different circumstances. We've been hiking together since one of them I've been hiking with since day 3, and the other one I've been hiking with since, I don't know, maybe day 15 or so. So we've traveled a lot of miles together. And a lot of times whenever you ask me questions and I refer to, well, we need to do this or we need to do that, I immediately think of this little wolf pack that we've created, because we make a lot of decisions together. And I think it's taken a lot of pressure off of me individually to make a lot of decisions that, I'm not the best decision maker in the world. I get really, really stubborn, and I don't listen to my body a lot of times. And, if I start to feel anxious about not getting enough miles in, then, well, the only fix to that would be for me to go out and do a bunch of maybe 30-mile days or really push myself over my limits. And they helped me realize that it really is a marathon and not a sprint, and that we can, go up and over and do hard things. And it's been so much fun. And at least to be able to go back to camp at night or meet up for a snack or a lunch during the day, to share some of the stories or share some of the tough stuff that we've been able to go through, or share some of the victories or the exciting things that we've seen. To be able to share those things immediately and not have to hold on to them until I get cell phone service to call back home, or, call a partner or a family member, and to share these things, to be able to share these things immediately, has been a lot of fun. And I think it's been really good for me to reflect on the trail in real time versus just hike it all and then go back home and then daydream about it all the time. So I'm really living the trail and being in the moment, and these 2 girls are really helping me do that. And I really appreciate them for that, for letting me come into their world too.
Yeah. Well, why don't we have their names and which part of the world they're from?
Yeah, absolutely. One of them's name is Haley. That's the one I met earlier, and she goes by Natty G. I was part of the naming process. Of course, we all have trail names, and I was part of the naming process for her because she knows everything about everything out there. What type of flora, different plants, the different animals, the different parts of the geography, and knows a lot about the parks and wilderness. So it's a short version of Nat Geo, National Geographic Explorer. And then she's from Montana and works with trail crews, does some conservation efforts and things like that in Glacier National Park, has worked in Idaho, Montana, and surrounding areas, making sure that trails are up and running for people. So this is not new territory for her. And then the other one is Simone. She's from Southern California and San Diego, lives in Arizona now, worked corporate world logistics, and decided that it was a great time for her to get out and do this now, and then start a new career when she gets back to trail. She's been a lot of fun to hike with and very supportive as well. So yeah, got really lucky with these 2.
Yeah, fantastic. Well,
and her trail name is Glider. I didn't mention that, but it is beautiful. Yeah, we're part of the naming process for her name too, Glider. It is a work of art seeing her glide across different water sources and things like that. Whether it's a river crossing or big puddles or whatever, she just glides right across. Yeah.
I would imagine then when it comes to you being in bear country now for a few days ahead of you that, which is a real threat, and it's going to be easier if you three are together, is it? Are you going to make a point of sticking together through those 2 or 3 days of bear country?
I think so. I don't know. It's one of those things. I guess if you really want to see a bear, you got to go out alone and be really, really quiet and tiptoe through the trail really, really as quiet as you can so you can see if you see anything. But I think being together will probably scare the bears away because every time the three of us together, we've got a big conversation going. We're loud, we're laughing. And we won't see a bear. So I don't know. I think we're all really, really itching to see something. So we may go off alone, and I'm going to have my camera ready to roll. I cannot wait.
Yeah. I want you to be absolutely safe, obviously, Marci. That's the most important thing, that you navigate this bear country successfully. But I also want to see some pictures. So just be careful. Just be careful.
I will.
For the bears. I know you are.
Yeah. And with I'm blonde bear, so these are my cousins, and I know what to expect with these guys. I told them to, be good to us, don't take our food, don't scare us, but just show up for a photo opportunity. And if I can get a selfie with one, that it would be an absolute bonus. That's the goal.
A selfie means you may have to turn your back on the bear, Marci, if you can.
I know. Thanks, Mom. I know. I don't. Like I said, I talk a big game, and then all of a sudden I'm going to see one, and I may wet my pants and run the opposite direction. So we'll see what happens.
Well, they do say not to run from the bear, don't they? That's important too. So, yeah. Okay. Well, as long as the other girls know where you are, as long as Simone and Haley know roughly where you are, and if you don't show up where you're meant to, at least they can come looking for you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're good at that. Okay. We're good at that.
Excellent. All right. So, just to summarize then what what those last 500 plus miles have meant for you and what you're most looking forward to now ahead in the next few weeks before you get out of California.
Yeah, it has been such a turning point in the trail to see some of the views. You work really, really hard to get the views, but Chris, these are coffee table views that you don't get to see. If you got to walk in and see this area. It is untouched. It's unscathed. It is, it's been unapproached by a lot of people, and it is so pristine and so gorgeous. So I highly recommend that if you've got the opportunity to get out and there's opportunities for weekend hikes or smaller trails. The John Muir Trail overlaps the PCT through the High Sierra, and it's, it might be a 15 to 20 day trip for somebody, but it's an opportunity to see. And so I feel very, very fortunate that I've had the opportunity to walk through some of this untouched wildlife and see it. Because I don't know with global warming, weather changes, fire threats, monsoons, slides, all this stuff. We don't know how long this land's going to be here. And you got to get out and see it. And I've really grown to appreciate the ability to get out and see some of this stuff. Some of the other things that I've really recognized is that my stress level, my anxiety level, I don't want to say anger level, but you know how you get kind of tied up and anxious and a little frustrated or impatient. In my real life, I have realized I have not felt any of those things in over 2 months. And it's a scary feeling. I'm still trying to unpack, like, well, is that okay to not feel different feelings on your spectrum? But, yeah, it feels really good. So stress is super low for me right now. And all I do is just walk, and I walk and I climb and I sweat and I huff and puff and I get to something and I see it and it's beautiful. And then you walk away and you see something else. And then looking ahead, I think that just getting the miles behind us and feeling like in a good place, to finish this thing is going to be really exciting. I know that I'm not technically even at the halfway point, but it feels like it, and they're starting to see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. So I know that when we talk again, there will be a lot more light.
Well, I think we should round off, Marci, with a message to all, your partner, Sarah, and your family and friends from far and wide who have been cheering you on this journey and, concerned every day where you are, that you're safe, that it's all going well, and just how you're doing, because so much of the time you're out of cell service, so you can't communicate with them. So give them a message from the trail there in Lake Tahoe.
Oh my gosh. I hearing you just say, some of these people that are so supportive in my life, I kind of got a little teary eyed and got chill bumps on my arms. I can't do it without the support from home. It's impossible to know that you're out here kind of doing something that feels really selfish because you've left, a partner and I've left Sarah at home to, take care of the cats and continue working and stuff like that. So I know it's sort of a selfish endeavor, but she's super supportive, has already been out to visit on trail once. And I know there's planning another trip maybe at the end. My parents, my family, my brother, and his wife and the boys, they are so amazing, with sending me text messages and just asking how things are going. And then of course my We Coach family. We Coach is obviously part of the podcast group, but, my We Coach family and Vanessa and Jan have been incredibly supportive and are always wanting to know where Blonde Bear is in the world, and what mountain I'm standing on. And I know that they are getting packages together to send me some resupply. And then of course you and your and support, Chris. It's felt really good. It just feels good. It feels good to be supported no matter what it is you're doing or what crazy dreams you're chasing. It feels really, really good. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we're absolutely with you all the way, literally. We're not getting the views, though. We're not putting in the sweat and toil, but we're not getting the views either. We're relying on you and your photographs for that, Marci. So keep those coming. Stay safe, stay strong. I know you're getting as strong as an ox out there. So, yeah, keep up the mileage that you're hoping for to reach your goal at the end, to get off trail by the end of September, if possible, up on the Canadian border there. So we are hopefully catching up with you, in about 500 miles or something once you cross into Oregon?
Yeah, I think that'd probably be a great check-in point. So yeah, hopefully as soon as I can cross into Oregon and get some steady Wi-Fi, we can connect again. I'm sure. Hopefully we got really good bear stories. I just hope that really good, safe bear stories that have a great ending for both hiker and bear.
Yes, we want the happy ending stories as well. All right, well, look, say hello to Haley and to Simone from us, and remind everybody where they can find you on your social media, Marci, so that we can put that out there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me at Blonde Bear Hikes, at Blonde Bear Hikes. That's BLONDEBEAR Hikes. And that's on Instagram. You can also find me on Facebook, but Instagram's my hiking page. And that's the best way to find me.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we hope we can find you after the bears in Oregon, Marci, and the very best of luck. Stay safe, my friend. Take care. And thanks for taking time to do this podcast again.
Appreciate you, Big. Thanks, Chris.